Now it's time for my review of the final film in the original trilogy of Star Wars, which is Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. So yes, the third and final film of the original trilogy. First off, let's take a look at the plot of this spectacular film. In the spectacular final chapter of the Star Wars saga, that was back then, before they announced Episode 7, but yeah, let's get on with it. Luke Skywalker and Princess Leia must travel to Tatooine to free Han Solo by infiltrating the wretched stronghold of Jabba the Hutt, the galaxy's most loathsome gangster. Reunited, the rebels team up with the tribes of Ewoks to combat the Imperial forces on the forest moon of Endor. Meanwhile, the Emperor and Darth Vader conspire to turn Luke to the dark side, and young Skywalker is determined to rekindle the spirit of Jedi within his father. The galactic civil war culminates in the ultimate showdown as the rebel forces gather to attack the seemingly defenseless and incomplete second Death Star in a battle that will determine the fate of the galaxy. The runtime for this is 129 minutes approx. So I believe that this is, in fact, the longest out of the original trilogy. They all span 2 hours each, so it's a decent runtime, and the cast for this is basically the same cast as the other two, especially The Empire Strikes Back, as we've got Billy D. Williams returning as Lando Calrissian. So what do I think of Return of the Jedi? Well, I thought A New Hope was 10 out of 10. I thought The Empire Strikes Back was 10 out of 10. I think this is probably going to be a 10 out of 10 as well. So, yeah, I'm giving my score away already. The reason why I think this is a 10 out of 10 is because I just love this film. I love the opening of this film, the way it starts off. We get the return of the Imperial March, because I love that tune. We see the Empire rebuilding Death Star. Of course, Death Star, the first one, got blown up at the end of Episode 4. Here we have a new one, and it seems that the Empire are going strong again after they somewhat kind of had a victory in The Empire Strikes Back. I feel that they were at the strongest in The Empire Strikes Back, and that's kind of why I think that's probably the best one, because in all the others they lose easily, whereas this, in Empire Strikes Back, they don't lose that easily, and I feel that Darth Vader is at his best here. In terms of all of his appearances in the movies, Darth Vader is at his best in The Empire Strikes Back. In The Return of the Jedi, he also is very good. It comes off as a threat at first, but then this film introduces the audience properly to the Emperor, now played by Ian McDiarmid. Of course, he appeared in the prequel trilogy. He appeared a lot more in the prequel trilogy. As I said, he's probably one of the best things about Revenge of the Sith. And again, I'd say that he is one of the best things about Return of the Jedi. I don't think he's in it as much as Revenge of the Sith, but in all the scenes he is in, I just enjoy watching this character, and I just really enjoy watching Ian McDiarmid's performance, because I just think he nails the performance of the Emperor. He understands what this character is all about, and I really don't think that anyone else could have possibly played him apart from McDiarmid. And with the introduction of the Emperor, Darth Vader isn't like the big bad anymore. In A New Hope, when it first came out, you got the sense, yeah, Darth Vader's the main villain. But then, with Empire Strikes Back, we got a brief glimpse of the Emperor, and then it's sort of shown, yeah, this is all part of a greater scheme, and the Emperor is actually the guy in charge. He's the big boss out of all the Empire. And it turns out that Darth Vader does have a softer side, as we saw at the end of The Empire Strikes Back. He could have just killed Luke Skywalker there and then. I think in all his power and everything, he was much more powerful than Luke. I think if he wanted to at any time, he could have just killed him, but he kept on fighting him, and then eventually he revealed that he was in fact his father. And I feel that Luke's downfall in The Empire Strikes Back makes Luke an even stronger character in this film, because in this film we see Luke return on Tatooine to save Han Solo, and he's the most powerful that he's ever been out of all the three films. He's done some Jedi training now, he's got a new Jedi cloak, he's got a new lightsaber after he lost his blue one on Bespin at the end of The Empire Strikes Back. So he's got a green one now, which is awesome. I really like the green one, it's one of my favourite ones. And he's just more powerful with the Force and everything. He's more wiser and everything. He's not an idiot. He's certainly grown up. He's the most developed character, I feel, out of all the original three films, because he started off as a farm boy, and then now he's ended up as a wiser Jedi. He truly is a Jedi now. He's more like a Jedi. The Empire Strikes Back, you could tell he was out of its depth, and the script shown that, and I think that Mark Hamill has pulled it off in his performance in all three films. I think the way that character was written was just brilliant, and what he's trying to set out to do in this film, his main objectives are this: save Han Solo from Tatooine, that's like the first act of the film, and then final act of the film, third act, he tries to save his father from the Emperor, as well as defeat the Emperor and defeat the Empire as a whole. And while he's doing that, the rebel forces are trying to blow up this new Death Star, and they are all led by Lando Calrissian. He's now piloting his beloved Millennium Falcon, which he originally owned, because Han Solo obviously won it off him in a game of, like a gambling game or something. And on Endor, we've got all the other rebel forces fighting out. But first of all, let's talk about the first act of the film, because I've not really talked much about the first act of the film. And we return to Tatooine, which was last seen in episode 4, and starts off with the two droid characters, C-3PO and R2-D2. Again, C-3PO gets some great lines. You know, I always laugh at his lines. You know, he's an actual funny character. You know, nothing like that abomination that appeared in the prequels that I shall not mention by name. You all know who I'm on about. And you know, Anthony Daniels, great, and you know, C-3PO and R2-D2 together, they're just brilliant. And they go to Jabba the Hutt's palace. They have a message for Jabba the Hutt. This is all part of a plan, by the way, because later on, Leia and Chewbacca turn up, and it's all part of a plan to save Han Solo, because obviously at the end of The Empire Strikes Back there was kind of a cliffhanger. What's happened to Han Solo? Where is he? He's got frozen. What's going to happen? And he's still frozen in the carbonite, and then Leia saves him from the carbonite. So I think all that is good. I think Jabba the Hutt as a creature, absolutely disgusting for something that was 1983. Holds up very well again, and again, like Yoda, this version of Jabba the Hutt is superior to the CGI versions that appeared in The Phantom Menace and A New Hope Special Edition, 1997 edition, and the 2004 edition, which is part of the box set, which this DVD is also part of. Yeah, so I think that as an actual animatronic, I think that Jabba the Hutt's better rather than an actual lifeless CGI character. Maybe if they did it today, it might be good, but I feel that for 97 and 2004, it just sucked balls. Of course, most of the action takes place on the moon of Endor, which is the planet of these little tiny teddy bears. And these are known as the Ewoks. And the Ewoks basically help to take down the Empire.
Are you serious?
No, J. Jonah, I am deadly serious. That is what happens in this film. And a lot of people say that the Ewoks are just as bad as some things from the prequel trilogy. But you know what? I actually like the Ewoks. Hear me out. I think that the Ewoks are just great. And they add a little comic relief to the film. I honestly do not mind the Ewoks. I really don't. I don't see what the problem with the Ewoks is.
What the fuck?
The direction on the scenes on Endor is pretty good. Richard Marquand directed this film. Again, George Lucas, he was just behind the scenes. He did all the writing and everything. He didn't do any of the direction or, any stuff behind the camera. And it's quite weird, really, because the best Star Wars films weren't directed by George Lucas. The only good Star Wars, the only truly perfect Star Wars film, because I do like Revenge of the Sith, the only truly perfect Star Wars film that George Lucas directed was A New Hope. And the best one is The Empire Strikes Back. I think that Return of the Jedi could be my second favourite. It fluctuates. Sometimes it's second, sometimes it's third, because I really love A New Hope as well, so it's kind of difficult for me, but that's why I rank them all 10 out of 10. I know it seems like, but he's just being too generous with all his scores here. Why is he giving these films 10 out of 10? And the prequels are getting like 3 and 3.5. But Revenge of the Sith did get an 8 from me, so Revenge of the Sith did get a few things right, even though it still had a few flaws. I just want to clarify, I'm not like one of those original trilogy fanboys. There's some things that the prequels did better than the original trilogy. Some things. Get back to me on that. But all those scenes on Endor are great. Like the final battle between the stormtroopers and the rebels and everything. You got Han Solo back in action again, back to his kick-ass best. And his relationship with Leia blossoms. And then, all of a sudden, we find out, after Luke visits Yoda on his deathbed, that, yes, Darth Vader is his father. And then he has a conversation with Ghost Ben Kenobi. And then he finds out he's got a sister. And guess who the sister is? Leia! Remember what happened in episode 5 near the start? Leia kissed Luke. Remember towards the end of episode 4 when they're about to die? Leia kissed Luke. They're brothers and sister. Gross. Yeah, last battle on Endor, brilliant. Space battles to the second Death Star, brilliant. And of course, we've got that famous line by Admiral Akbar, which I just love quoting all the time. It's a trap! It's a trap! It's a trap! Everyone quotes that line. some of my friends from university quote that line like all the time. Some people haven't even seen the film yet they know that quote, which is quite bizarre, seeing as I feel that the most famous quote is "I am your father." So yeah, everything about this film is great. I don't think it's the best out of the original trilogy. It fluctuates between second and third best. The way it all ends, I think it's a great climax to the original trilogy. And, of course, it was a great climax to the saga as a whole, the first 6 episodes. It tied all the first 6 films together perfectly. But now, with the release of The Force Awakens next week, the story is going to continue in a galaxy far, far away. So that's my review of Return of the Jedi. Great film. I recommend you see it, especially if you really like Princess Leia and you like seeing women in gold bikinis, sexualized. Yeah. We shan't talk no more about that. I think this is a 10 out of 10 film, and the whole original trilogy as a whole is perfect in my opinion. It may be the best trilogy of all time, along with other trilogies like Toy Story, Back to the Future, etc. So thank you very much, and next time in my movie reviews I shall be taking a look at Episode 7, The Force Awakens. So as soon as I've seen that, I shall be reviewing that right here for you. So stay tuned.